Hi and welcome. Today I have a piece for my homemade art journal. It's getting pretty full. I think I got one left after this, but I put them in order, out of order. So at some point I will do like a real quick, maybe reel flip through so that you can see the whole thing. I'm starting with a 5.5 by 5.5 piece of Bristol smooth paper. The stencil I got from Simon says stamp, and some distress ink in the color old paper. I'm covering all of it through the stencil, and I'm going to be adding some translucent texture paste on top through the stencil on top of the color that I've just added. Now, don't get caught up in the butterfly that's there. My intention was to use that butterfly, but it just, once I got it done, it just didn't, to me, work. So I'm going to save that butterfly for something else I have in mind, and we'll see how that works out for that. So I'm starting to add the texture paste. The translucent texture paste is much more liquidy. I mean, it's not liquidy at all, but the texture is very different than the opaque texture paste. It's almost like yogurt is kind of how I've heard it said, and I agree. It's very much like spreading yogurt over your page, and it just goes on super smooth. I've never had my texture paste, transparent texture paste, go hard. The last one I had got kind of, I wouldn't say sticky, but where it would kind of hang to each other. I don't know how to say that. But it was just the very end of the jar, and it was still very usable. So I've not had any problems not being able to use an entire jar of the transparent. The transparent's my favorite of all of them. I did recently get a transparent crackle, and I keep forgetting to use it. So I'm going to make a point to use that soon. So once I have it on, I immediately dump that in a bath of water and set that aside to dry, which is now dry. And I'm going to be using some distress sprays to go into the other areas that is not texture paste. I did spray a little bit of water on to get a little bit of wetness on the paper. And then this is Kitsch Flamingo Oxide. And then adding some water. I want it to kind of move off the texture paste into the lower areas. And oh my gosh, I thought that was so pretty. I really debated leaving it just with the pink and old paper, and maybe I'll do one like that because I just thought, oh gosh, I love that. I did knock it back, and then I added more layers of color. I did sit there and think about it though. I was like, oh gosh, that looks really pretty, but what do I want to do? And then this is frayed burlap. I like it because it's a little more grayish, green. Looks kind of greenish on the page, but I think it's a little more grayish. And it just kind of helped bring a little bit of vintagey looking to it. And it's also oxide, which you can definitely tell right there because some of it's oxidizing. And a tip, if you don't like that oxidized look, well, number one, you can choose not to use oxide, but there's more pigment in the oxides. But if you then come across it with like the microglaze distress, it kind of removes the oxide. It shines it up a little bit. So that is something you can do to help remove any oxidized look. I like the oxidized look. So, I mean, some people do, some people don't. And you'll notice as I'm knocking it back, I'm also revealing some of the texture paste. Now, I don't want to have perfect looking texture paste. So I'm just kind of knocking some of the areas back to give it a little aged, but not totally pristine look. And I'm gonna dry. And to get a layer of colors, I find it's makes a better layer of color if you dry in between. And here I am drying, but I'm gonna knock it back again just to remove some of the color that's on top of the texture paste. My background paper is getting pretty messed up, so I'll clean up a little bit before I move on. I'm done spraying, and so I'm just going to add a little bit of, I start with Vintage Photo around the edges. Oh, okay, now I'm doing the collage pieces, but I do try to add some around the edges of the card, and then I think it's not quite dark enough, so I move to walnut stain. So I've got a few pieces picked out here for my collage portion of it, and most of it is digital downloads, which will be linked in the description. And with the exception of a couple, I have a number list from Tim Holtz and a small talk quote from the sticker book. And as I've said before, I buy my downloads. I buy them all. I don't get them given to me or anything. And I just choose what I think looks good. And then I print it out on 90-pound cardstock. It's a lightweight cardstock, which is still very easy to cut. but yet gives it a little bit of body. Copy paper just won't do it. I mean, the 90 pound is not expensive. I buy it like by a 500 pack on Amazon. So just get some lightweight cardstock to add a little body to it. Because one of the things I do to these flowers, I don't think I get it on film, but is I kind of rolled the ends of the petals so that they kind of came up from the page a little bit, because flower leaves are not flat. And so, but you won't, I don't think you'll see me do that, and you would not be able to do that on copy paper. So I'm just debating here which way I want this to go. Do I want that non-texture paste area to be on the bottom or on the left? And so I'm just kind of trying out a couple things. And I'm also going to stamp some stamps in that area. Actually, just one stamp. I was going to do multiple stamps, but then I just like, I think just going to repeat the same stamp. I think it's going to look good. So I have this, it says Specimens, something else on it too. And that's from the Specimen stamp collection, Stampers Anonymous, Tim Holtz. And it's the one with the big butterfly. So I'm just stamping that in different directions and offsetting it. So just to kind of fill that non-texture paste area. I thought it kind of looked interesting moving it around and using the same stamp. And so I do decide to have the stamping be at the bottom. I think it would have looked good either way. It was just a preference. So I think I know where I'm going with my collage. And now's when I'm going to add the ink to the edges. Like I said, I don't think this is dark enough, so I bring out the walnut stain. This piece is a digital download. It's a flashcard. I thought it was really cute. And that should have been the first thing down, that circle, but just totally forgot it. But luckily I can still lift that corner up and slide it in. There's a little bit, I fussy cut most of my stuff, like if I'm watching TV or something, but I won't bring my X-Acto knife out there, and often I'll leave things like bird's feet uncut, anything that could rip easily. I might leave for the final cutting once I've chosen to use it. So I'm on this one, there's just a little section inside the flower that I didn't have to get it because it probably would have been the same color as the flash card behind it. But it does get a little distress ink to kind of, and it highlights that there is a hole there. So I think it could have gone either way. Oh, I was going to tell you about my glue experience as I'm gluing this stuff down. I am trying a new glue, as you can see, and it's Art Glitter, dries clear. This one happens to be a 4-ounce one. I ordered it off Amazon back in December of 24. And it's 6 months later now that I'm using it. And I waited until I was totally out of my other one before I even opened it. And when I opened it, it had separated and solidified the gluish portion of it. So it was surrounded by a clear, liquidy thing with a solid core of white stuff, like the glue stuff. And I'm like, what in the heck happened here? And so I contacted the seller, and that's why I didn't want to say anything until I heard back from them. And I guess that is a thing. They can't ship this in freezing weather. Well, I'd ordered it in December. I looked to see where it shipped from, and you can look back to see temperatures on certain days, and it was in the 30s when it shipped. And it was not the manufacturer who shipped it. I want to make that clear. And so it must have frozen, and I just didn't know. Anyways, they either take precautions or won't ship during times that it could freeze. But they were kind enough to send me a replacement bottle, and I thought that was very kind of them to do. And so I should be getting that anytime. But just so you know, maybe purchase directly from the manufacturer, because they will make sure you're getting it. It's not going to be freezing. He says there are ways they can package it, like if you have to have it. But anyways, I just wanted to let y'all know that, and plus give the manufacturer of our glitter kudos for honoring their product and just sending me a new replacement. I do like the metal tip. I like it a lot. So, okay, let me catch you up on this picture. I added a little bit of vintage photo directly behind the flowers because to me they weren't standing out quite enough. So I did a little bit, and you can see I rolled the petals a little bit because they're sticking up a little bit. And then I'm going to add a little butterfly. So I do have a little bit of black going on. I think sometimes you've got to have something bold. And so I've got the black number. I'm adding a black and white butterfly. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add a black quote from the Small Talk book. And it says, "Give out what you most want to come back." And it's a long one, and I save my longer ones for like this size of page because it won't fit really on a tag, at least not. I could cut it apart and I could go the other way, but I try to save the longer ones for this kind of situation. And I do one other thing. I'm going to be taking some of my heavy duty Tim Holtz scissors and just roughing the edge to give it a little frayed. It just looked too pristine to me. So I'm just going to rough up the edges, and then I'll add some more walnut stain, or walnut stain, distress ink around the edge again. And then that's it. I hope you enjoyed this one. I had fun doing it. If you haven't subscribed yet, I invite you to do that. And if you like this piece, give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. I do have some final pictures coming up, so stay tuned for those. But other than that, I just hope you have an awesome day. See you next time.